Welcome, everybody. It's indeed my honor to be saying a few words in memory of Walter Gretzky today, the first dad of hockey in our country. I had the privilege of being around Walter and the family, his wife Phyllis, and Wayne's siblings, certainly the boys, Keith and Brent and Glenn, and also got to know Kim. They're an amazing family. Wayne's successes obviously are well known in the world, but as he's spoken often, attributes them to his dad. And if anything, for me, if forget the hockey aside, Wayne's the fact that he's humble and a real gentleman is really he got a lot of that from his dad. He was wonderful to be around, and certainly going to miss him. And hopefully Canadians, I know Canadians will remember him in such a fantastic light, but we'll all miss him. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Kevin. We'll start with Reed Wilkins from 630 Chat. Go ahead, Reed.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Mark. Mark, I saw a clip from you, a brief one in an obituary this morning. So I think it was a clip you gave a few years ago about how if Wayne was struggling, or I guess by his standards struggling, the Oilers would make sure Walter was at a game in the near future, because that might fire Wayne up a little bit. I was just wondering if you maybe could expand on that memory and talk about Wayne's drive, even as an adult, to put on a good show for his dad.
Yeah, I think that obviously we all know that the relationship between Wayne and Walter was incredible. I think something to be emulated, the way he nurtured Wayne, a prodigy from the very early ages all the way up into the pros when he turned 17. Walter had a way of making everybody feel good about themselves. Even when we would get down on ourselves after a loss, Walter always had a way of keeping things in perspective and making us feel good and keeping keeping us focused in on the next game and the next opportunity. Wayne very rarely had a slump, but when the team had a slump, oftentimes, and we needed to win, the Oilers would surprise Wayne and fly Walter in somewhere on the road trip. And Dave Semenko always used to joke that he would say, I guess we're going to win tonight. Walter's in town, because of the fact that Wayne would put on a show in front of his dad like he had always done. Dave often said that, Walter really was our MVP, because his record was unbelievable, actually. But even more importantly than that, I think the relationship that, we had as players with each other, only to be outdone by our parents, and the relationship that they had with each other, and the forms and the friendship they formed. Well, obviously Walter being front and center of that, we thought we were having a good time through the 80s, but I think our parents outdid us, and really enjoyed each other's company. We keep talking about what a family the Oilers were through those years, the respect that we had, and they were welcomed into the organization. And because of it, as players, we got to know the parents really well. We spent a lot of time with the parents on and around the rink, but obviously away from the rink as well, whether be invited to someone's home or whatnot. So we really got to know all the families. Obviously, Walter and Phyllis being a big part of that over the years. And but I agree with Kevin 100%. Wally is going to be missed not only by us, but I think the hockey world, and certainly all of Canada.
And I'll ask Kevin this question. I don't think Walter ever thought about himself being in the spotlight because he was Wayne's dad, but inevitably in this country that happened as well. And again, watching some of the pieces on him today, a lot of the video of him isn't just at Wayne's games, at Oilers games, it's at minor hockey events and speaking events. So Kevin, I'm just wondering if you can speak to how he sort of maybe reluctantly at first, but sort of embraced that celebrity and used it to do good beyond just being Wayne's dad.
Yeah, I would say that that's the case. I think he was reluctant early on, and again, he was such a humble gentleman. And I can recall up-teen times where Wayne would be just bombarded by people, whether it's the media or fans. And, Walter would come to town, or we'd be in some other city, and he would just patiently wait on the sidelines, wait for Wayne to do his thing. And at some point in a person's life, they say, you think, a parent would say, listen, I want to spend some time with my child here. But that never happened. And I would say in the early days, Walter, in fact, just went the other way. He would stay away from the attention, but I'm not sure whether it was his aneurysm in 91, or he just embraced the attention. But he really became, he became as famous as Wayne in our country, quite frankly, traveling around to minor hockey games, to pro games. I know he used to go to he had tickets for the Leafs. He'd go see the Leafs play, but he went to see junior hockey games. And often we'd be out with Wayne somewhere at a restaurant or whatever, in a hotel, and people would just as quickly gravitate over to Walter for an autograph as they would Wayne. And I think by that point, I think he understood his place in our country's history and recognized the importance of it, and really did start to embrace it.
Next question, Josh Clipperton, Canadian Press.
Hey, gentlemen, thanks for doing this. Just for both of you, just if you could share a favorite story or memory of Walter, maybe at the head of the table with the Gretzky clan, or just maybe some personal anecdotes that you guys that really stick with you.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I just so many, over the years, getting to know Wally. I think that 99 tour that we did with Wayne, and with one lockout or strike or whatever it was, I can't remember the year, was amazing, actually, to be around Wally for that amount of days and really spend time with him and get to know him at such a, intimate level for that period of time. For me, Wally was always someone, like I said, you could talk to after a game and put a healthy perspective on the situation, whether it was good or bad. Wayne was who he was because of Wally, obviously. He had time. Wayne had time for everybody. He had time for the press, as you guys know. He had time. He made everybody feel good about their position on the team, no matter who they were. And you could see it with Wally. Wally had time for everybody. And as Kevin mentioned, Wally had an unbelievable ability to share Wayne with the country, and not get in the way of the demands on Wayne. And Wayne, I think, understood from a very early age that there was a big responsibility coming his way with the type of player that he became. He was well prepared for it. He didn't take it for granted. And talking to Wally over many years, you could see those lessons that he instilled in Wayne. And he was just a happy-go-lucky guy. Overall, he did a great job with Wayne. You can imagine the demands on Wayne from a very early age when he knew he had a problem. I think that the end result was, Canada got a real hero in Wayne.
A couple things come to mind from my perspective, and Walter. Wayne had have so many endorsements, and so inevitably they would, they'd get swag, right? Jackets or T-shirts or whatever. And when Wayne would give his dad, he always saved everything for his dad. He'd give his dad a new golf shirt or something, a hockey jacket. And it is like he had given him a car. He'd have a smile on his face from ear to ear. And you knew you were going to see him wear that religiously. So I'll always have a memory of that. Another memory is, not so much, well, it's what didn't happen with Walter is when Wayne scored 50 and 39. And Wayne had scored, he got his 45th goal in the 38th game. And so he said to us, he said he was going to phone Walter and have him fly out to Vancouver for game 40, never thinking that he would score 5 goals in his next game. So he did that. He phoned his dad. He said, Dad, this was the day of the 39th game. He said, Dad, tomorrow I'll get on the plane and go to Vancouver. And, maybe I'll do it there. And afterwards, I think game 41 was in Edmonton or Los Angeles or something. You can stay with us and be there when I score my 50th goal. So, of course, game 39, Wayne goes out and gets 5 goals, as we all remember. And what struck me, besides the fact that he scored 5 goals to do it, was right after the game, he walked in the room and he said, well, I guess I'll have to call Big Wally and tell him not to go to Vancouver. So, so many stories, as Mark says, but, to see, another thing I'd like to touch on is, and Mark did as well, was the families. And that's really important. I suspect teams that have had success, that's a common trait. I'm not sure, but it sure was with our team, that the families were as welcomed around the team at any time. And in fact, it was, players would get excited. I would get excited. Of course, Mark's mom and dad lived in Edmonton, so we saw them lots. But when Phyllis or Walter came to town, or Jack and Betty Coffey, or when we went to Vancouver to see Magnus and Ann Anderson, my mom Paul Coffey would know when my mom would be at a game in the Coliseum in Edmonton, he knew what seat she was sitting in. And he would say, as the game's starting, oh, I see your mom got a new purse. That was the level of respect that the families had with the players and vice versa. So it was more than just a good hockey team. It was really a family.
Next question, Kevin Carius, Global TV.
Hey, Kevin, this is for you. And then Mark, if you can chime in as well. I'm sure you both talked to Wayne and the family, and just your thoughts on what they've been feeling like the last 24 hours or so, and the outpouring and tributes that have come their way from across the country by so many people.
Yeah, I would say only someone like Wayne and the Gretzkys could possibly even handle this, because I guess their lives have been pretty much like that, since Wayne was an 18-year-old. And by that I mean is the outpouring, the attention, and of course Wayne will handle it, and the family that will handle it like the champions they are. Walter, as we said, he'll be missed. I did have a conversation with Wayne, and he said these last few weeks were really difficult. Walter wasn't doing well, and and I went through with my mom a couple years ago. They're not good at the end, and it's you just afraid to see them go. And when that time finally comes, the permanence of it is really it's tough to explain. It's very human emotion, but they were prepared for it, and they really appreciate everybody reaching out, and they're really thankful that they had a great life with their dad.
Yeah, not much to add to that. I think it just keeps getting back to how accessible they were to us as Canadians through the whole journey with Wayne, from the time he got his junior hockey career, even to the time that I read about Wayne in the Canadian magazine when he was 9 years old, the phenom coming onto the scene, fall. And then, I was out west and had never, had a chance to ever play against Wayne as a kid, but certainly knew about him, read about him into his junior career, and then turned pro at the 17. I think for that journey there, the Gretzkys were incredible, accommodating to the people. They let people into their lives. People felt a part of the journey. They felt a part. You got a Canadian icon, and as a fan, you feel part of it, and maybe in a little way some responsibility because of the support that you gave him. And then of course Wally becoming the celebrity he became, and how many kids he touched and over the years on the celebrity tour, the charity tour, hockey games whatsoever. So they were not a closed book by any stretch of the imagination. They really presented themselves and made themselves available to many different people along, the last 30, 40 years, I guess. And it's just been an incredible journey to see. And like we keep just reverting back to, Wally was a Canadian icon as well. And he's going to be sorely missed.